Hello my friends, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Erin and today is Friday, which means it is Book Review Friday once again. Today's video, it's gonna be something else. Like, this is not going to be a normal book review. I don't quite know how this is going to go because I have a lot of thoughts but not a lot of thoughts at the same time, and I'm still kind of confused as to how I'm going to talk about this book, but that's okay. It's gonna be a little bit different today. I hope you guys don't mind, but this book kind of calls for a different video. If you can tell by the title, we are talking about Bunny by Mona Awad. This book has been raved about on Bookstagram. I have heard countless of people talking about this book. I see it everywhere. You know, this is a book. Like, people have been talking about this book. So, I had to read it. I had to read it. When people are talking this much about a book, I have to join the club. I have to get on this. I have to be a part. You know that. So I decided to take the plunge and buy Bunny and read it. Yeah, we're gonna leave it at that. Let's move on to the cover. I love the cover. It's simple. It's very bright and colorful compared to other horror books. This is a very big departure from other horror covers just because they tend not to use too much color. Some do if they want to be a little bit different, but usually it's reds, blacks, grays, dark blues. Those are the typical because they're like the deeper, dingier colors that I think just represent horror. But this book is very unsuspecting. It's bright, it's colorful, it has the name Bunny. It's an unsuspecting book, and that's a great word to describe it. It's very unsuspecting. So this would be the time where I would give you a plot synopsis. I would kind of give you a little bit about the book. I would just tell you in my own words. However, I don't feel like I can actually do that with this book. I don't feel like I can tell you what this book is about at all. Yeah, I'll get into it in a minute, but I'm gonna actually read you the back of the book as the plot synopsis because I think the back of the book does a way better job than I will ever be able to do at telling you what this book is about. And I put "about" in quotations because I don't think anything will tell you what this book is about. But we'll get to that as well. So let me just read you the back of the book as a little plot synopsis. A scholarship student who prefers the company of her dark imagination to that of most people, Samantha Heather Mackey is utterly repelled by the rest of her graduate fiction writing cohort at New England's elite Warren University, a clique of unbearably saccharine yet sinister rich girls who call each other Bunny and seem to move and speak as one. But everything changes when Samantha receives an invitation to the Bunnies' fabled smut salon and finds herself inexplicably drawn to their front door, ditching her only friend Ava in the process. As Samantha plunges deeper and deeper into the Bunnies' world and begins to take part in their monstrous experiments, the edges of reality begin to blur. Soon her friendships with Ava and the Bunnies will be brought into deadly collision. I'm gonna tell you right now that I don't think this description accurately describes the plot. And I don't mean that in a bad way, I just mean that I really don't think this plot can be put into actual words and be told to someone. I think this is about as close as you'll get to a very detailed description of this book, because when I finished reading this book, I looked at my boyfriend and I said, I don't think I can describe this book. Like, I don't think I have the actual words to physically talk about this book. I couldn't even put it into words when I was describing it to my boyfriend. I was trying to explain the plot to him, and he was also confused because this is a interesting book to try to explain to someone. And I'm gonna tell you that right now, I don't know how to describe this book to you. I really, truly don't know how to talk about it at all. So I guess now we're gonna get into my overall thoughts and opinions on the book, my section that is the review, I guess. So I have no idea how to review this book. I, honest to God, don't know how to review it. I'm at a loss for words for this book. I really don't know how to talk about it. And I keep saying that, but it's just hard to put into words. I really just don't know. I think you can tell from the way I'm talking that I really have no idea in my head what I'm saying, and that's because I actually have no idea. So what you're seeing is very accurate. My brain is completely jumbled about this book, and that equates to my mouth also being jumbled and not knowing what to tell you guys. I don't know what to tell you guys. I don't know how to review this book. So I guess the first thing to talk about is this book is confusing. Utterly, utterly, utterly confusing. From the moment the book starts until this moment right now where I have finished reading it and I am talking to you guys, I am confused. I have been confused the entire time. I will probably remain confused the entire time. I don't think I will ever really know what was happening. I don't think I will ever really know. I just think this book is meant to confuse you. I think it's meant to just be this jumbled, crazy, chaotic thing. And you're just really not supposed to know what's going on. I honestly think that's the whole point of the book, is to just be confusing. The plot makes sense, but it also doesn't make sense, which again doesn't make sense as I'm explaining it to you. It's like I get the book, I get it, like I understand it, but I also just don't understand it. There are things in this book that I just really don't get. Like I just don't. I just mentally cannot grasp it, okay? This is a mess. This is a hot mess video. Oh my gosh, okay. The best way I can describe reading this book is I feel like I was on drugs. So I've never taken drugs. I don't know what being on drugs is like, but I can tell you this is what I imagine what being on drugs is like. I'm not sure. I don't know, but like, I feel like I had a drug trip reading this book. I just feel like someone slipped me drugs the whole time. I was drugged up the entire time. That's how I feel reading this book, is like I was in a drug-induced haze. Okay? That's literally the best way I can explain this to you, which again doesn't explain anything. And that's going to be a reoccurring theme throughout this entire video, is I'm not going to explain anything because I can't physically explain anything to you. I literally can't even explain it to myself. I found myself laughing at this book. There are parts that are very funny, but I also found myself simultaneously throwing my hands up being like, I don't know what the frick I'm reading. What is going on? What is happening? That was me the entire time I read this book. I would feel like I was getting maybe just like a hint of understanding. Something would happen, I'd be like, oh, are we going this way? And then something would just be thrown at me and I'd be like, never mind, never mind. I'm in the dark again. Reading this book is like being in the dark and trying to find your way out. But it's pitch black and you have no idea where you're going. Literally, you can't see anything. That's what reading this book is like. Being in a pitch black room, you don't know what's in there, you don't know what's lurking in the corners, you don't know how to get out, you can't see anything, but you're trying to find the exit. That's what reading this book is like. That's a really good analogy, actually. I'm so proud of myself. That's the best way I can describe reading this book, in my opinion. I don't know what other people feel like, but that's how I feel. Like I said, this is a pretty funny book. There are some comedic moments. It did make me laugh, so it gives that dark comedy vibe. I feel like it was supposed to be a darker comedy kind of book. Maybe not, maybe it's not supposed to be a comedy, but I did find some moments to be pretty funny, or some things to be so crazy that it made me laugh, at least. So on Goodreads, when you look up a book, you can see the genres that the book falls into. So I am going to read you what genres this book is. So it's considered horror, fiction, contemporary, adult, fantasy, magical realism, thriller, audiobook, literary fiction, and adult fiction. Now, this is a horror book, so this is considered horror. However, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I'm not saying I don't think it should be labeled horror. I just don't know if I would particularly call it a horror book, because I don't think it's scary. I think it's more just intriguing, and I find it more captivating in the sense that it stole my attention very fast. It kept me entertained, it kept me intrigued, it kept me wanting to read to figure out what was going on, but it's not really scary. I actually really like the genre magical realism for this book. I think that's an interesting way to label it, and I honestly like that a little bit more than I do the label of horror. I do understand why it is considered a horror book. I get it, but just for me personally, I don't know if I completely agree. It is going to be subjective to, you know, whoever's reading it. I'm sure some people will find this to be really like creepy and terrifying, and I do agree that there are creepy moments, but it's not a typical horror book. Like I say that quite a bit, but it's just not typical. It's a very weird book to label, I think. So maybe that's why it is considered a horror book. And horror has many subgenres, so I do feel like the magical realism could be the subgenre and horror the main genre, if I'm going to make that kind of critical thinking moment. I mean, that's just a personal thing though. I don't know if other people agree, obviously. But just for me personally, that's how I feel about the genre choice. The only other horror book that I think I could kind of compare it to, and this is a very loose comparison, I'm not saying they're similar in plot or writing or anything like that, but House of Leaves. I personally didn't love House of Leaves. I thought it was pretty boring, and I just didn't quite love it as much as other people did. I have a review of it here on my channel if you want to check that out. But I feel like House of Leaves did something very unique and different, and I feel like that's what Bunny is as well. Now, they're not similar at all. I would like to reiterate that they are not similar at all, but I do feel like they just feel similar, as in they don't fit the horror genre like other books do, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I hope that makes sense. We'll see when I edit this. I will say that no matter how crazy this book was, or how weird it was, or how bizarre, or whatever you want to call it, it did keep me reading. It did make me want to continue reading. I mean, it was enjoyable to read. I will say that. It was interesting, and I felt like it held my attention well. It kept me wanting to know things. It kept me wanting to uncover what was really happening. I wanted to get to the end to see how it would all come together. I mean, it did a very, very great job at reeling me in, so I did enjoy that aspect of it. Also, just a slight trigger warning, there is an animal death scene in this book. I thought it was pretty graphic. I thought it was pretty gross, so just a heads up, be warned, there is an animal death scene. The characters, they are interesting. I don't know if I actually liked any of them. I can't say that I felt connected to any of them. I don't know how anyone felt connected to them, because I felt so distanced from them. If I'm honest, I felt very distance. I knew I was reading. Like, I know that doesn't make sense, but have you ever read a book and you get so consumed and so connected to the characters that you don't even really realize you're reading a book? It's just kind of like you're there in the environment, you're there with everybody, and it just kind of consumes you that way. This is like the complete opposite for me. I completely knew that I was reading a book. I was super distanced from the characters. I just had like this wall up with them. I don't know. I just didn't really care for any of them. They were all okay, I guess. I didn't dislike any of them. It was just more that I couldn't connect and I couldn't feel myself forming any type of emotional bond to any of them. I thought Samantha was a pretty good main character. She was kind of sassy, her commentary was interesting, and she was alright. She wasn't my favorite main character ever, but I didn't hate her. The bunnies, yeah, the bunnies. I'm not even gonna talk about them because honestly, I don't even know how to talk about them. The bunnies were the bunnies. So, the ending. I don't know what to say about the ending. The ending was weird. I think it was probably weirder than the rest of the book, in my opinion. It didn't clear up anything for me. It made me way more confused than ever before. It just gave me way more questions than answers. I don't think I got really any answers. Maybe like 1 or 2 answers, but even then, the answers are very ambiguous in my opinion. So, I don't think really there were any answers to this book. I'm still very, very confused, if you can't tell. Very confused to what was real in the book. I don't have any answers. That's literally how I feel about the ending. I don't have any answers about anything. I'm unsure how to rate this book. I always rate my books on Goodreads. There's a 1 to 5 star scale, and usually I don't have a hard time rating books because I feel like I can grasp how I feel about a book after I've read it pretty well. Sometimes there are books that I kind of just need to mull over a little bit after I read it just to see if my feelings change a little bit. I'm Thinking of Ending Things is a book that I had to mull over a little bit. I think at the time I didn't love it as much as I do now, so it's just one of those things where I had to give myself a little bit of time to see how I was feeling, I guess. This book, I don't think I'm ever gonna really know how I feel about this book. Maybe that's the point. I'm not really sure. I think this book was very well written. I really enjoyed the writing. I loved that it captivated me, it intrigued me, it kept me interested, it held my attention the whole time. I didn't feel bored or I didn't want to stop reading or anything like that. However, my biggest downside is just that I'm so confused. I don't mind a little bit of confusion. Like I've told you guys before, I like not knowing what a book is about and then just kind of getting thrown into things and being surprised. I like that, and this book did do that, but I'm just a little upset that I didn't get any answers, I guess. I'm just someone who likes the ending tied up neat and nice with a little bow. I like to be sure of how it's ended. I like to be sure of what I just read, and I can't be sure about anything with this book. I have no real concrete anything, answers, ideas, nothing. I don't have anything from this book. So that's a downside from me, just personally. That's just how I am. But again, I enjoyed it. So I'm not really sure how I feel. Like, it's almost like I'm bouncing between, yes, this is a 5-star book because of how insane it is, or it's a 3-star because I enjoyed it, but it irritated me at the same time. I don't know how I feel still. I think I'm gonna have to wait a while before I give it a star rating because I don't know. I don't know how I overall feel. So, do I recommend this book? And honestly, yeah, I do. I think everyone should at least attempt it because it's just crazy. It is insane. It's nothing I've ever read before. It's you know, there's no words to explain what this book is like. It's insane, it's crazy, bizarre, unsettling, weird, you know, all those kinds of words. And I think everyone should at least attempt it once because it's just a wild ride. I mean, it's just insane. It's just crazy. So I feel like it's just something you have to try. I don't think everyone's gonna like it at all. I think this could be a very polarizing book. I think you'll either love it or you're gonna absolutely hate it. And that's kind of where I'm bouncing between. I don't hate it at all. It's not a book that I would ever give like a 1 or 2 stars, but I am bouncing between did I like it or do I love it? You know, I'm gonna have to simmer, I think, a little bit more. I'm not sure that's actually gonna help me though. I really don't know if simmering on it is going to help because I think I'm just gonna get more confused. So I might just have to go with my gut instinct as I'm writing my review and then just star it as that. I hope this video was entertaining at least. I don't think I gave you much information, which I'm very sorry, but like I said, I really don't know how to review this book. It's like nothing I've ever read before. It's crazy. So I hope you guys enjoyed my review of Bunny by Mona Awad. That's gonna do it for Book Review Friday, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. It lets me know what kind of content you enjoy from me. That way I can keep providing you with that kind of content. Feel free to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. We can become friends, talk about books, makeup, movies, horror, all kinds of things. I do a lot on this channel, so hopefully there's something for everyone. Let me know in the comments down below if you have read this book or if you want to read this book. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I hope you guys are having a great day and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I will see you on Monday with another video. Bye!